Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday night loving kindness class here online at the Dharma Temple. My name is Alex. It's wonderful to be here with you today. Oh my goodness. So you'll see there's a little chat box there, and usually people use that to ask questions if they have a question that they'd like me to answer or talk about anyway later. And however, if you can use it now, that'd be great. Say hello. If you're new, I'd like to know that you're new. Like if this is your first time at a Dharma Temple online class, or any Dharma Temple class, or if this is your first time to Wednesday, it really helps me engage, helps me feel engaged. It engages you as well. So I'd like to know who is out there. So hello, everybody. I am just enjoying the cooler weather until it gets super hot this weekend, if you're in the general San Diego area anyway. So like I said before, if there's anybody who's new or relatively new, this is the loving kindness class. And, every thing that I do, or every class that I do, I should say, every class I do, when I prepare, I always want to find something that's happened in my life, things or something that I've noticed that reminds me of loving kindness, or at least an application of loving kindness. And really quickly, before I get into this little bitty story, for those of you who don't know, this word that we use in this class anyway is metta, M-E-T-T-A. And it's this wonderful word and from the ancient Pali language. And when translated into English, it can mean a few things. It can mean loving kindness, it can mean unconditional friendliness, goodwill, and it's simply a wish to be happy. A wish for ourselves to be happy, a wish for others to be happy, and more importantly, a wish for ourselves and others to do the things that cause happiness. Right? And so what are the things that cause happiness? Well, our positive thoughts, words, and actions. Those things cause happiness. Especially, if they're really well-intentioned, because, everything in this practice is about, intention. What is our intention? And so that's what we're talking about today. And I saw something on a Facebook group. It was a question posed to a monk. And the question was, if an unskillful thought arises in me while I'm sitting in meditation, like if something like some memory or some thought of like anger, hatred, delusion, or anything like that, any one of the Buddhist poisons, if those happen, if those arise in me while I'm sitting in meditation, is that bad karma? Is that negative karma? What a great question. It's a wonderful question because, and then I started to think about it and I thought, well, in the past when I'm sitting in meditation, or whether I'm in my car or whether I'm, working or whatever, and this unskillful thought arises, this angry thought arises, this greedy thought arises, is that negative karma? And do I treat it as negative karma? That's even the most important question. Do I treat this as negative in that, so that I think that I'm bad? I have this unskillful quality arising that I'm bad. So this must be bad karma. Is that true? And this is the question that this person is posing. And so the monk in question, which Tanjeth, who I love very much and I respect very much, he said, No. When an unskillful thought arises in you in meditation, that's past karma that's happening. That has nothing to do with now. But what you do with it now, that will present or create, positive or negative karma. So and I thought about this, and I thought, well, have I ever thought that when an unskillful thought arises in me, like anger or greed or whatever it might be, revenge, I have a predilection toward like revenge fantasies. I don't know why, maybe it just is. And, when those thoughts arise, did I ever think that I was bad because of it? And so that's a question to ask yourself too. Like, if you've ever sat in meditation and while sitting in meditation, this negative thought or unskillful quality or thought arises in you, did you ever think that because of that, you're bad or you're wrong? And so now that we've heard from Tom Jeff, the answer to this question is no. It's what we do with this unskillful quality. Do we transform this into something else, into something that's skillful? Do we see this as just an unskillful thought arising and we don't grab onto it, hold on to it, do some more eye-making, as we like to say in Buddhism? Or do we say, oh, this is just a negative, or this is just an unskillful thought or quality arising in me, and I have the tools to transform this? Whether it's through loving kindness, whether it's just through plain mindfulness, just to see it clearly for what it is. And so I thought about this is because here's just another opportunity to practice loving kindness, to practice metta. Because a lot of times, something that's worked for me personally is that when a lot of these negative thoughts arise in me, I do a lot of loving kindness. And I make it really simple. And I just say one of the phrases. I just say, may I be happy. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I be happy. To myself, of course. And maybe sometimes I say it out loud, even I don't know. But it's to myself, and that can transform it. That's one way to do it. And the great thing about this practice is there's more than one way to do something, and this is one way to do it. And since we're in a loving kindness class, I'm going to talk about some loving kindness. So I was thinking about that. So this is something that is good to think about. It is good. It's a good question to ponder that if any of these kind of unskillful qualities or thoughts arise in you, do you personalize them? Do you make them solid? Do you make them, this is me, I am bad, and that's why this is happening? And if you do, can you look at another way to relate to these thoughts? So we're going to do this practice here in a minute, which is a way to do it. And so I was thinking about that. So when we get to the question and answer part, I'd kind of like to hear your thoughts on that. So now we're going to do a metta meditation, and this is wonderful. Is anybody new, Travis? Did anybody say that they were new?
Yes. Well, they said it's their first time attending online. So Damaris said, first time online for Dharmabum Temple meditation.
Nice. Thank you, Damaris. Wonderful to have you. All right. Anybody else say hello?
Yes. Jean said, "Hi, Alex. I love your class. Thanks for teaching it." And then Beth said, "Hello."
Hi, Jean. Hi, Beth. Wonderful to have you. I love you both. All right, so let me get my handy dandy timer out. All right. Before we actually start, let's go over some instructions really quickly. Actually, since nobody is new, I won't go over instructions, unless you want me to, but I won't. So let's get into our whatever seated position you want to get into. We're going to just spend a few minutes focusing on the breath first, getting all nice and getting our body and mind kind of supple enough to then go ahead and do this practice. So here we go. So just allow your eyes to close, making sure you have that seated position that's nice and comfortable for you. Nice and comfortable and sustainable. And when we sit, we can even imagine ourselves sitting underneath the Bodhi tree of enlightenment, just like the Buddha. And we sit like a Buddha. And you can sit like a Buddha, whether you're sitting in a chair like me and Travis, or whether you're sitting on a cushion. Just kind of ready for the abiding that we're going to do for the next half an hour, or almost half an hour. So let's gently pay attention to the breath, paying attention to the breath at the base of the nostrils right here. Noticing the breath go in, noticing the breath go out. Not struggling with your seated position, not struggling with what you may be dealing with right now. Just being right here and right now, right in this moment. Not struggling with the breath. At first, letting the breath be quite easy and quite natural. So just for the next few moments, just rest as gently as you can in the sensations of the breath. So now to begin our practice of loving kindness, let's start with a benefactor. A benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love and great kindness. So when it's really easy to have these thoughts for you, just think of this person and your heart, it's like it feels like it's getting bigger, warmer. So just picture this person in your mind's eye. And you can either do this practice one of two ways. You can just repeat phrases over and over, phrases of metta, like, may you be happy, and say their name. May you be safe from inner and outer danger. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at peace and live at ease in this world. Or if you don't want to repeat phrases, you can simply radiate loving kindness out to them in whichever way you want to. You can imagine this beam of loving kindness going from your heart to theirs. It could be any color, it could be warm, it could be cool, it could be vibrating or pulsing or not. Whatever's going to be best for you. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may your benefactor be at ease. So we'll do this for the next few minutes. Now shifting our focus just a little bit from doing this practice for our benefactor, and now we're going to imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us. And you can imagine the same person, a different person, a group of people. They can be living, they can be not, it doesn't matter. And you can imagine them either repeating these phrases for you or just smiling down on you with this wonderful beam of loving kindness, or however you want them to radiate loving kindness to you. And can you accept, can you receive all of what they're trying to give you? If you want, you can put your hand on your heart and you can listen and you can feel for any resistance whatsoever when your benefactor does this practice of loving kindness for you. And if you feel any resistance, that's okay. Can you then, as much as you can, breathe into that? Breathe deeply, opening up, softening, letting it come in. Can you receive their metta for you fully and unreservedly? So we'll do this for the next few moments, imagining our benefactor doing this practice for us. Now shifting our focus again, can we now do this practice for us? Previously, we've tried to receive this from another person, and now can we receive this from ourselves? And you can still put your hand over your heart if you want, and gently repeating these phrases for you. May I be happy. May I be safe from inner and outer danger. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at peace and live at ease in this world. Just calling to mind your own wish to be happy, which is the same wish that we all share. You're not alone in this. Gently breathing into any discomfort. Just so for the next few moments, we'll do this practice of metta, loving kindness, unconditional friendliness, and goodwill for ourselves. And then finally, to end our meditation, we can do this practice for all beings in all directions. If it seems intimidating that you can't extend your heart out that far, you can. You can go ever so slowly. Maybe everybody in the city, and then everybody in the state and the country, and then just keep on going out. Your awakened mind and your awakened heart can easily do this. And so we practice doing this. So that it just becomes a natural extension of who we are and what we do. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be at peace and live at ease in this world, wherever world they live on. And we'll do this practice for all beings to conclude this meditation. So just open your eyes when you're ready. And just taking the next, say, 60 to 90 seconds out in silence as you stretch your arm and you stretch your legs. If you have any questions about what I talked about at the beginning of class, or any questions on the instructions or your experience of meditation, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear it. And we can talk about that. But for now, stretch. Okay, you can still stretch if you want to, but we're good to start. So, again, if there's any questions about the instructions, you can ask any questions about the instructions, or any questions about Buddhism, or kind of what we talked about early at the start of this class. When there's these unskillful thoughts that arise in you, anger, greed, hatred, delusion, whatever they may be, thoughts from the past, what do you do with those normally? And do you, because you have these thoughts, think that you are bad? I mean, a lot of us do. I know I used to. These thoughts used to terrify me, especially if you've been, if you've experienced trauma in any way, whether it's in early childhood or even in any time in your adulthood, and these thoughts come up. What do you usually do with those? And do you think that you're bad because of them? And for me, I used to handle them in two ways. One, ignore them, because I was so terrified of it. I would just say, nope, can't deal with that right now. That's way too much. And then two, engage in revenge fantasies. And I remember that, especially with these revenge fantasies, I would get hot. My face would get hot. My neck would get hot. And sometimes it even got to the point where I would get kind of sweaty, because they would be so elaborate and whatever else. And they were just so juicy. They were so juicy. They were just so I just would sink my teeth into these revenge fantasies. And looking back at that, it hurt. It hurt when I did that. And I felt it then, but I didn't. I just tried to ignore it. And they didn't. And they ended up never helping the situation. They would eventually do their thing, and they were past, and I would move on and go think about something else. I thought then that there was nothing that I could do about that. That's why I just pushed it away, or engaged in revenge fantasies, or whatever else I did. And then when I came to this practice, like, oh, there's another way. How about that? And it's a training, because there's still some, they can still be scary at times. I can just still push them away at times. And I know when I do that, I'm pretty okay at the time when I'm doing it. Like, I can't really deal with this right now, I'll deal with it later. Or, engage in some sort of revenge fantasy still. Not as much as, certainly I used to. Because this practice, it's a gradual practice. It's a gradual awakening. but I know when I do it, and I know that it hurts, and I don't want to hurt. And there's a couple of things that happen when that happens, and I'll get to that probably a little later. I'm going to see if we have any questions. No. Oh my gosh, you guys. That's okay. You know, in Buddhism, there's these things called the aggregates. And all of us have the same aggregates, so there's 5, right? Form, feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness. And Travis, in his class on Thursday, has gone over this, probably a number of times, I would imagine. And and I love this teaching too, because it's saying, hey, don't take everything so personally, because there's no person. And if you make a person out of it, you're going to suffer. Right? There's these 5 aggregates that make up, for me, there's these 5 aggregates that make up an Alex. Right? And the more I, engage in these revenge fantasies, there's a couple of things that's happening. One that causes suffering. One is I-making. Or like solidifying. I'm solidifying the Alex. And the more I solidify the Alex by believing these thoughts, the more that I'm going to suffer. The more that this Alex is going to suffer. And then it's called something else too. It's called becoming. And it's part of the 12 nidanas, or the 12 chain link cause of causation, or dependent origination. Jeff talks about that a great deal. So we want to avoid this I-making and becoming. And one of the really wonderful ways, besides loving kindness, to do that is it's this really direct way called mindfulness. And in the sutras, in the Buddhist sutras, there are so many tales of Mara. And Mara, for those of you who don't know who Mara is the tempter god. Mara is the ego, or this kind of unskillful quality of the ego. But I like to say Mara. I like to think of this as the tempter god. And Mara is always tempting all these monks and all these nuns and trying to distract them from their meditation. And Mara is simply these unskillful thoughts that arise. That's all that is. That's Mara. And one of my favorite stories, and there's like a million of them, there's this story of the nun, the Buddhist nun, Soma. And so Soma was hanging out, and she was sitting under a tree, hanging out, engaging in the day's abiding, her daily meditation. And this thought arose, like, who do you think you are? You're a woman. You're a woman. Who do you think you are, thinking that you can gain enlightenment? And Soma goes, well, hey, who's saying this? What's happening here? And so this kind of alertness arises, and says, and then she goes, oh, yeah, this is Mara. This is Mara. This is just Mara. And because he's like really, he's like, who do you think you are with your like 2-inch attainment? He's like, really, Mara, Mara's throwing down. Who do you think you are, Soma, with your 2-inch attainment, that you think that you can be an enlightened person? And someone goes, well, who is this? He's, oh, I see who this is. This is Mara. And she goes, you're not fit to address me. If you call me a man, if you call me a woman, if you call me anything, you are not fit to address me. And that was this wonderful statement. So Soma is engaging in seeing and knowing, which is what this practice is about, seeing and knowing. There's no believing here. There's seeing and knowing. So she sees and she knows who that is. She knows it's just some, unskillful quality. And so she's directly into the nature of it. And then, of course, at the end, Mara is sad and dejected and walks away. Sometimes I like to imagine, like when these thoughts arise in me, these difficult thoughts that I ask, who is this? What is this? Oh, this is Mara. And I don't have to believe any of this stuff that Mara's telling me. And whereas, one time one way to do this is invite Mara in and have a conversation. This is another way of kind of seeing into this. Or you can just say, this is Mara. Yep, don't need to pay attention to this. And then Mara always walks away rejected. So that's a fun little exercise you can do too. Okay. Mr. Travis.
Yes.
Has anyone said anything?
Nope.
Oh my God, you guys are just gonna make me talk, which I can do. So let me know. I want to hear from you. Tell me what's going on in your life. I always want to hear that too. Or we can listen to the police helicopter. You can also talk about, or let me know, because in the beginning of this kind of lockdown, which we still, if you live in San Diego County, it's a little more relaxed, but it's still relatively locked down. Do you feel, and this started March 19th, so between March 19th and now, are you more used to this? Have you just kind of settled down a little more, or are you still pretty anxious about this lockdown and everything that's going on? That's also something I'm certainly more, I would think that people are much more used to it by now. I mean, you can see it in the grocery store. I mean, you still have, some people who don't like to wear masks or whatever, but pretty much everybody is like, yeah, mask, sure, no problem, check. This is not such a strange, weird thing anymore. Everyone's doing it, and I can do this too. The toilet paper is back in stock, and paper towels are back in stock. Cleaning supplies are still not as back in stock as I would like them to be. But that's okay. Everything else seems to be pretty much kind of where it is before. And things have kind of settled down just a little bit. So I'd be also interested to hear what you think about that. Or we only have 5 minutes and we can just cut that. That's okay too. It's fine. It's a beautiful night tonight. It's okay. You don't have to. Don't feel pressured. I mean, I'm not going to spend a long time just kind of sitting here. That kind of defeats the purpose of an online class, right? Well, on behalf of all the creatures who live in the Dharma Temple, Travis, myself, and Temple Ghost. Temple Ghost, say something. Temple Ghost, say something. He's shy. That's okay. So on behalf of all of us, thank you guys so much. It's wonderful to be here with you. Love doing this class. And whether you ask a question or not, it's still nice. I know that you're out there. So let's join our palms together at our hearts, please. And may the benefits of this meditation, this discussion, such that it was, be received by all beings in all directions. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be joyful and at ease. May all beings be happy. May all beings be loved and seen for the radiant, beautiful beings that they are. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.